everyone, I'm Cheryl Mahoney and I blog at marvelloustales.com, and I am the author of the Guardian of the Opera trilogy, a retelling and then sequel of The Phantom of the Opera, which is relevant today, not because I was going to talk about my book, but because I'm going to talk about Love Never Dies, Andrew Lloyd Webber's sequel to his Phantom of the Opera play. So obviously, having written my own sequel, it gives me a bit of a perspective on Love Never Dies. I first saw the movie 8 years ago. When it came out, it was a Fathom event in the theaters. I was not a fan. I just rewatched it. It did not get better with time. So I realize Love Never Dies has a lot of fans in the Phantom world. If you are one of them, this may not be your video, because I am going to explore exactly why I had significant issues with this movie, filmed play. And that's where we're going with this. So for the sake of brevity, I'm going to try to do a relatively quick sketch over the plot and then talk about the high points, or should I call them low points, of why I had some issues. So the story opens. We're told that it's set 10 years after the events of the previous play. And in that intervening time, after the chandelier crashed and there was the confrontation with Christine and Raoul left together, and we don't really know what happened to the Phantom at the end of the first play, apparently he and Madame Giry and her daughter Meg left Paris, left Europe, crossed the Atlantic, and ended up in New York. And now, all these years later, the Phantom is running Mr. Y's Phantasma. That's Y, the letter Y. I don't know why. Which is sort of a carnival sideshow freak show thing on Coney Island. And we also learn in the very first song, Till I Hear You Sing, that he is still super, super obsessed with Christine. So that's the setting as we open, and then Christine is coming to New York. Possibly the Phantom lured her there, possibly it's just a coincidence, the play is not very clear about it, but either way, she arrives with Raoul, her husband, and their 10-year-old son, Gustav. Pretty quickly, the Phantom manages to swoop in on her while she's alone. They have a shocked reunion, shocked on her side. We get some backstory that she thought he was dead, but also, more significantly, 10 years ago, they spent one passionate night together under a moonless sky. This is a thing they keep repeating in the song about it. I'm gonna come back to the moonless sky. So, backstory. But he left after their night together, feeling he was unworthy, and she went on to marry Raoul. But now, 10 years later, for some reason, he thinks, we can get together now, even though before we couldn't, but now I think we can. I don't know. When she shoots that down, he switches over to, all right, but at least I need you to sing for me. And when she refuses on that, he threatens her child to get her to sing in his show. So she agrees at that point, as one would, I guess, or call the police, but you know. Anyway, so we roll along a bit. There's some stuff with the Phantom and Gustav, and he's super shocked when he realizes that Gustav is 10 years old and kind of likes music, because apparently that moonless sky was 10 years and 9 months ago. I don't think it really shocked anybody else, but it shocked the Phantom. He decides not to threaten the kid after all, but Christine still agrees to sing. I don't know why, but she does. And the Phantom and Raoul end up making this bet about if Raoul can get Christine to not sing, then they'll leave together and the Phantom will pay off all of Raoul's gambling debts. Because, side note, somewhere in the intervening 10 years, Raoul has become a alcoholic gambler who doesn't think he's worthy of Christine. We'll come back to that also. If, however, Christine goes ahead and sings, the Phantom wins the bet and Raoul leaves her, and the assumption is that the Phantom is then gonna get her? Yeah, well. So she sings, and Raoul leaves, And meanwhile, there's been this whole other subplot about Meg Giry, who has been headlining in the Phantom's Phantasma all this time, and really, really likes the Phantom, and really, really wants to get his attention, and kind of seemed like she thought it was going that way, but oops, now Christine is back, and Christine's saying, and Meg sees what is happening, and actually has a breakdown about this, and kidnaps Gustav. And there's a final confrontation, which the Phantom handles really appallingly badly, trying to talk Meg down. A gunshot goes off, Christine is accidentally shot, and Meg, I think, runs away. Christine dies. Eric maybe has a moment with Gustav, and maybe they're gonna have a relationship now, I don't know. And curtain closes. So, love never dies. You can probably already tell just from my summary some of the problems, but I'm gonna try and unpack some of this. So I feel like no one actually does a sequel to The Phantom of the Opera unless they either want to give the Phantom a happy ending or demonstrate that actually Christine and the Phantom were true love. They were the romantic couple all along. And I feel like the movie play, filmed play, was trying to do that second thing, but they didn't do it convincingly. The problem is that their relationship, I truly feel, was very unhealthy to begin with in the previous play, which I love, by the way. I love the previous play, just to, contextualize this. But they were not a good relationship. I mean, he was lying to her and manipulating her. She yanks his mask off. She helps the police, a little unwillingly, but she does help the police to try and capture him. She ultimately leaves with Raul. Okay, maybe she comes back under a moonless sky, but she left with Raul. That's not a good relationship. I also think we have to unpack that their big romantic moment, remember, was under a moonless sky. And they make a big point about how it was totally dark and they couldn't see each other. That is such a weird, problematic thing when one of the big barriers to them being together is that the Phantom is ugly. That he has a facial deformity and he feels ugly, and we don't really know how she feels about his face later on, although she freaks out the first time she sees it. So this idea that they can only have their big romantic moment together when she can't see him just means that they're not having a truthful, open, honest moment. They're like pretending that everything's okay because as long as they can't see each other, everything is okay. That is not a healthy way to approach romance. Close your eyes and it'll be fine is not a healthy approach. So when he's still obsessed about it 10 years later, I'm like, please move on. This was not good to begin with. And it's not good in this play. If he had grown and changed, and she had potentially grown and changed, you could sell me on this, truly. But he is super manipulative and controlling in this play. He threatens her child to get her to sing. That is not okay on any level. It also means that she's not singing for him because she loves him. She's singing for him because he threatened her child. That's not romantic. Even after she turns around on it, that's just weird. They don't explain that. And then that bet with Raul, the Phantom and Raul keep saying they're letting Christine choose between them, but they're not, because she doesn't know about the bet. She doesn't know what she's choosing. All she's deciding to do is sing. She's not trying to choose between the two men here. So she's not choosing the Phantom when she sings. In fact, right before she sings, Raul convinces her to leave with him, and she's going to do that. But the Phantom locks her door, pops in through a mirror, as he does, and convinces her to sing after all. After she sings, she's looking for Raul. She clearly, she's a little bit off in this, singing, and it was so wonderful to sing, and yes, I feel drawn to you again, Phantom. But she's still thinking she's with Raul at this point, and they're going to leave together. That's very clear. So it's a weird relationship. And even though they like kiss at the end when she's dying, it's not a good romance anywhere, honestly. She's just being manipulated and shoved around. He's being controlling and manipulative and shoving, and that is not good. So, not sold on the Christine Phantom romance at all. Other big thing is Raul's character. There was nothing in the previous play to suggest he was going to become an alcoholic gambler who's deep in debt and thinks that he's unworthy of Christine. It's like a complete character reversal on him, and it really feels forced to try to serve the narrative that actually Christine should be with the Phantom. Because if Raul was a halfway decent guy, then we'd be upset that she's thinking about leaving her husband, which, you know, when I say it out loud, I kind of am, actually. But I'm supposed to not be upset by that, because obviously Raul is correct that he is unworthy. The potentially ironic part here is that actually for the society of the time, the Vicomte de Chagny married way beneath him to marry a chorus girl, so I am not finding it super plausible that he thinks he's the unworthy one in this match. And again, there was just nothing to set it up in the previous play. It's a complete character change. So that's a problem too. Then we come to Meg. I feel really bad for Meg in this play. The one thing that I do like, I guess, there are a few things I like. Some of the songs in this play are actually good. Till I Hear You Sing is quite good, although weird in context, and some of the other music is very good. I also like that this play affirms for me. I always thought Meg really liked the Phantom in the original play, or at least she was very interested in him. And I feel like having this sequel from Webber backs that up. However, it all plays out so tragically for her that it's just really sad, and she becomes the tragic figure. You may have noticed, Meg is on the cover of my book. She's a major part of my story. Things turn out very, very differently in my story. So, other major points here, it's concerning and weird that the Phantom is running a freak show. Maybe the freak show is supposed to be like a space where the freaks can be free and embraced and, you know, be themselves, but there isn't actually anything really to tell us that. And some of the set design is really weird because they're like basically in display cases. And what's particularly weird about it is that the Phantom is a man of a deformity himself who was exhibited as a freak as a child. So it's not a good look on him to be running a freak show. Yeah, that's weird and uncomfortable too. Yeah, I mean, I think those are the high points. Low points, terrible relationship that we're supposed to be rooting for. Terrible, weird character assassination of Raul that's trying to serve that weird relationship. And what did they do to Meg? It's just really sad and unfortunate. And I like to imagine how my characters would react, and my Phantom would be really horrified, including by the fact that this Phantom never sees Meg. Which probably tells you a lot about what happens in my book instead. So there you have Love Never Dies. This is the relatively short version. I did a longer video if you really want to get into the details where I went almost scene by scene, because there are details I did not cover in this one. But that's the overview. So if you are a fan of Love Never Dies and are still with me on this video, I am open to hearing what appealed to you. I acknowledge I could have missed things here. If you are not a fan of Love Never Dies, maybe you'd like a different sequel where things turn out differently for the Phantom and Meg as well. Just saying. You can find it on Amazon. You can also find me at marveloustales.com, and there's more information there about my books, other reviews, and also just about my writing in general. So thank you very much for watching, and see you in the next video.